Jess from Sallie Tomato, and we're here at Bargains Galore in Waupun, Wisconsin. We have a fun video for today. We're gonna do a thrift flip. So let's go inside, see what cool stuff we can find. Then we're gonna take it back to the studio and turn it into something new. So let's go. All right, so I think we're gonna go with this one. I think it could be a really neat overlay on top of some fabric and add some texture for an elegant bag. We're gonna take it back and see what we can do. $3 for the lady's lace blouse. All right, so I'm back in our main office studio and I'm excited to dive into these projects and share some really great tips with you guys for deconstructing garments, how to do some unique applique, and preserve and use as much of the material as possible. Next up, we have this lovely little lady, and I've already gone ahead and picked out some patterns for inspiration and brainstorming to figure out which project that I want to turn this into. So I thought it would be fun to use this shirt as an overlay on top of fabric to give a different dimension and texture. I absolutely love lace, and I think it's fun to mix it with modern materials. It's just a timeless classic fabric and design to this lace. So I did take a look at the sleeves. There's elastic at the sleeves, so I didn't know if this would be interesting as a pocket, if the top of the pocket had the elastic and we could simply cut this part of the sleeve, turn the top edge of the sleeve under so we'd have an elastic pocket. So that's a fun option. The neckline also has an elastic ruffle on it, so I didn't know if that could be incorporated into a project. And then there's also a zipper on the other side. So there are a few options for different styles of pockets for this one, but mainly I wanted it because then I could use it as an overlay on top of one of our materials. So I went ahead and picked out some patterns. Wouldn't it be neat to feature this lace overlay on top of cork fabric on our Mackenzie bag? I just thought that was absolutely stunning, and we could pair it with a solid cork and then have the lace over top of the solid to make it really stand out and pop. So that's an option, and we do have a lot of fabric to work with since this is a nice size shirt. Next up, I was inspired by Holly. Holly has that really big front panel, and it could show off the lace really nicely, and the top is more of a slouchy style, so I thought that would work really well with this soft material. Another one was Daisy, and I love how chic and classic this little round bag is. So to me, lace is very elegant, and the Daisy bag would be very fitting for that. And then also I chose our Sylvia bag pattern. This is a mini clutch, and you can attach a chain so that way it's a mini crossbody bag with a kiss lock closure. So I think I definitely have to make a Mackenzie bag, but for this tutorial I'm gonna pick a little bit simpler of a pattern just to show you guys the process. So we're gonna make Sylvia. Another important thing before we start is it's a good idea to wash the garment before you cut into it and start working on your project. That way any shrinkage occurs and you don't have to worry about any unwanted odors, and you can also get rid of stains at that time before it's turned into your bag. So I didn't mention that with the first jacket, but both of the items that I found at the thrift store seem to be in really good condition and barely worn. So I just am going to use them as is. So let's get started with this project too. I'm just going to cut along the side seam, and I'm actually just going to cut off the sleeves because I don't think I'm going to use them for this particular project. And then also, I don't like how the lace looks seamed together, so if I did need a larger piece, I wouldn't end up using it in a seamed area for this particular project. So I need those whole pieces. So I think since this Sylvia pattern is really small, I'm going to cut open the seam in the sleeves. And this area of fabric is definitely big enough for the Sylvia pattern piece. So So I think we just need one sleeve for the front and one sleeve for the back. And then I'm gonna save this large chunk of fabric for when I make the Mackenzie bag. That'll be perfect and gorgeous. I love it. So I'm gonna cut one more sleeve. Perfect. Now before we cut out the pattern pieces, I'm going to audition what fabric I want to use behind the lace. So I pulled some scraps of faux leather and cork fabric. Here I have a concrete pebble. So that gives more of a lighter look. And I chose a couple neutrals. Since I used a pink lace, I thought a neutral background would be a lot better than another color, but you certainly could do a pop of color behind. Maybe a green would be fun and it would look more like a garden. Or even a purple or a darker pink or a lighter pink. So that looks a little bit busy. This is a black cork with a gold fleck, but if that's your style, then you'd have a little bit of sparkle in there. And then a darker gray. There's another option. And then also I have a scrap of natural cork with silver fleck. I found that natural is generally a really good cork just to have on hand because it goes with pretty much everything. I actually really like how this charcoal cork looks behind here. The darker makes the pink stand out a little bit more, but it's still neutral and classic looking. So I think we're gonna go with this one. So there are a couple ways that you can attach your lace to your cork fabric. The lace is very stretchy and it tends to move around on top of the smooth cork. But I'll show you some of the ways that I would recommend to attach it. So first off, you'd want to cut out your pattern piece out of the lace and also out of the cork. So I still am just working with the larger pieces just to demonstrate how I would do this. But after you have both pieces cut out, you could align all the edges and then use some sewing clips around the edges to hold the pieces together and in place. And then you can simply just stitch either an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch all the way around the edges of the pattern pieces to attach them together. So the center part will still be loose. So I do have another recommendation. So what you would do is you would do your outline stitch and then you could do some kind of quilting design. So you could do vertical rows of stitching, maybe spaced 1 inch apart, and that would help prevent the lace from shifting on top of the cork fabric. Or you could do an all over design, maybe a scroll, or you could even stitch around the petals per se, whatever you'd like to help tack it down even further. So also, instead of just the sewing clips to help hold it down even more, I'd take a scrap of newspaper, put your lace down on top of the paper, and then add some spray. And you can spray the back side of it. And this is Sulky KK2000. It's super sticky, it's just a temporary adhesive. So after a few hours, the air will evaporate the stickiness and it won't be sticky anymore. So this side will have the spray on it, and then you can take your fabric and put the sprayed side down and stick it in place. And that'll help prevent it from shifting as you're stitching around. So I'm going to go ahead, cut out my pieces, attach the lace to the cork fabric, and work on making the Sylvia bag. So I'll check back after I'm done sewing this project, but we're going to move on to the next one with the flower applique. And I wanted to show you guys, here are the final results of the coin purse that I made with that lace dress shirt. I think it turned out super pretty and elegant. So what I ended up doing was stitching down the lace to the cork fabric in some areas around the flowers to make sure that it stayed. And then I just sewed it up using our Sylvia coin purse pattern, and this pattern debuts February 2022. And it's just a great little evening bag for just a couple essentials, lip gloss, your keys, and some important cards. And here's what the inside looks like. There are some card slots, and we just glued in the cork fabric and the lace into the frame. So there's no raw edges that are going to fray on this little bag. And you could certainly just pop this in your purse for organizing your purse, or you could use it as a crossbody bag by attaching a chain strap. So I absolutely love how this turned out. This has been so much fun, and I hope these projects inspire you to visit your thrift shop or search in your closet to create something new. We'll see you next time. And always don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspirational videos and sewing tutorials.